You go ahead with the mission
Sure.
statement.
Our mission: Helping Parents Heal is a nonprofit organization dedicated to assisting bereaved parents to become shining light parents by providing support and resources to aid in the healing process. We go a step beyond other groups by allowing the open discussion of spiritual experiences and evidence for the afterlife in a non-dogmatic way. Affiliate groups welcome everyone, regardless of religious or non-religious background, and allow for open dialogue. Attendance today at this meeting is voluntary, and we are here for the benefit of learning from and sharing with other parents whose child has passed away. It is understood that our discussions are intended to be confidential and not designed to replace traditional therapy or spiritual counseling. Helping Parents Heal offers a wide variety of speakers to allow parents to be informed about many possible ways to heal, to connect with their children, and to learn about the afterlife. The views expressed by our guests do not necessarily reflect those of Helping Parents Heal, and we ask that you take from their presentations whatever may benefit you personally. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you so much, Irene. That was beautiful. I am going to go ahead and introduce Roseanne, and I'm so excited that she's here. Again, she's an affiliate leader, so I feel very grateful that she's presenting her book to us. Rosanne Groover Norris is the mother of 5 children with 1 in spirit. She is also grandmother to 6, ranging from 4 to 14 years old. She considers them to be her best accomplishments in life. On a bitterly cold night in January of 2018, her middle 30-year-old son, Lee Thomas, succumbed to an accidental carbon monoxide poisoning in his home. His dog, Buddy, passed a couple of days later. This devastating event left her in a dark despair in which she questioned whether or not her life was survivable. Through meditation, mediums, books, podcasts, and journaling, she has learned the truth that we don't die. We simply go home. She has had many signs and communications from Lee. She is now a leader of an affiliate group in Helping Parents Heal and is grateful to Helping Parents Heal for the love and support she has found there, and as a result is now an affiliate leader. Her book, Believe, A Journey of Loss, Healing, and Hope, was written from the 12 journals that she wrote in the first 2 years after Lee passed. She wrote the book as a journal to help parents understand the emotional swings of their grief. She hopes, too, that by reading the book, people who have endured the loss of a child may better understand and support those of us who have done so. Roseanne embraces the beliefs that by helping others, we ultimately help ourselves. So without further ado, please welcome Rosanne Norris.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth and Irene. I'm so happy and excited to be here. It truly is an honor to be here. I thought a lot about this, and we all have our stories, and all our stories matter. And I just happened to write mine down, and I'm so honored to be able to share a little bit of it with you tonight. And my story really starts before Lee was born. About a week before he was born, I was in the shower and I started crying, and I thought, I don't want to do this. And I thought that was so strange. I thought, I had birthed 3 babies before him, and they were all 9-pounders. I knew he was going to be a big baby, so I thought, why am I feeling like this? So a week later, it was Labor Day. Ha ha ha. The joke was on me. Lee was born, weighing 11 pounds 3 ounces, and he was 23 inches long. He was a big baby for sure. And so I thought, well, this is why I had these feelings. I didn't want to, somehow I knew instinctively, but now I look at it differently. I believe my soul knew that I was not going to have him forever. he was different. So this boy was different. He was very sensitive. He was very deep. He was not in a bad way. He just he carried a little stuffed animal around, and he was just a little bit of a different child, but he had a normal upbringing and childhood. And so fast forward a little bit to he went to college and got a job in a local engineering firm, and he bought a house, his first house. And the day he moved into the house, he said to his brother, "I'm going to die in this house." And, my other son took it as he meant that moving was such a pain that I'm never going to do it again. But it's so interesting now when I can look back and think, did his soul, why would he say it like that? That his soul knew something was going to happen. So in the spring of 2017, his last year on Earth, his girlfriend left him. Now, Lee had struggled a little bit with anxiety and depression, but it wasn't, it wasn't terrible, but I thought, oh, this is going to kind of take him down, but it didn't. And he started working out, and in the fall, he says to me, he said, "I'm the happiest I've been in a long time." And so things were starting to look up for him. And it was about, just before the holidays that I had a dream and I saw him in his casket. I literally saw him. I woke up crying and I thought, what is wrong with me? Why would I have such an awful dream? And I never told the soul. Again, I think, my soul was preparing me, if you can be prepared. So as you said, Elizabeth, it was, a very bitter cold. We had like a 2-week stretch of bitter, bitter cold weather in New York in January. And Lee had a coal furnace. And apparently there was a blockage in it. He hadn't cleaned it. He hadn't closed the door properly. And the third strike was he took the detector, which probably was making noise. He took it off the wall and buried it in the closet under some clothes. So it was kind of a perfect storm. My husband got a call from his boss, because they worked for the same firm. It was January 9th, and he said he hadn't been to work that day or the day before. And as soon as my husband Tom called me, I knew he was. I knew. We often do. So we went to his house and found him. But what was very interesting is that his little dog, his tiny little dog buddy, was still alive. And I thought, how could this little tiny dog with these little tiny lungs survive? I mean, he was barely alive, but he was still alive for a couple of days. And I believe that he stood watch over Lee until we found him. I truly believe that. And so right away, of course, I'm in a terrible, terrible place. I don't remember anything about the services, and I don't need to. I don't care to, but I started journaling right away. That's usually how I deal with painful situations, always have. And about 2 weeks afterwards, I returned to work, and I was very comfortable with my work group, and I could go in my office and close my door, which I did. But the first day I got home and I turned on the television for background noise, and Dr. Oz show was on. And he was announcing that he had 2 near-death experiencers he was going to be speaking to on the show. Well, wasn't it Drs. Evan Alexander and Dr. Mary Neal? And I thought, this is interesting. I don't normally watch Dr. Oz. I don't even normally turn the TV on, and yet there they were speaking. So that really started me on this path to figure out, first of all, where Lee had gone. Where was he? Is he okay? What do I do now? How do I do this? And so, you know, I started immediately reading and watching podcasts and everything I could think of just to try to understand all of this. And about three weeks, I'll say, I heard about a gentleman that his name is Ernie, that was a grief counselor. Ernie was a former minister that had been doing grief work for 40 years, not charging a dime. It was a free will offering. And I remember asking him, how do you do this? How do you take all this pain and everybody's suffering in it? And he said, it wasn't his, he was called by God and he had no choice. But Ernie was a beautiful man, and I knew that I wasn't going to have him long. I just knew it. He was in his 80s, yes, but he was very open to communication. He handed me George Anderson's book and said, I think you might want to read this. I mean, he was just a beautiful person, but he passed at my 4-month mark, which again plunged me in just a very deep, dark place again. So I tried, he did have a grief group. I tried his grief group, and I looked around at some, you know, that had been going for years, 15, 20 years to this grief group, and everybody seemed so sad. And I thought, do I have to be like this forever? Because I might as well check out. I just can't do this. And so I started I reached out to a local grief group as well as a national group, a national organization, 2 times for each group. And I never heard anything from anybody, never had a response. So I thought, well, I guess I'm on my own. I'll just have to figure this out. And so I started looking on Facebook, and I found some groups, and I just got the icky factor. You know, I just was like, no, no, no. So it was probably about mid-late April when I say found, but I know I was led to Helping Parents Heal. And as soon as I felt immediately, yes, this is where I belong. So thank you, Elizabeth, for starting this group. It really, I feel it saved me, it helped me tremendously. I couldn't say enough. And it led me to be a leader because I feel so grateful to your organization. So, like I said, I was doing podcasts. I was just obsessed with all of that to take that knowledge in, and it's really, really helpful. And in the fall of 2018, I have to say, I started thinking, I think the seed was planted about a book. Yes, I was journaling, but I really didn't. I always wanted to write a book. I had written some children's plays. I was an English major, and I always, in retirement, hoped to write a book. I didn't exactly hope to write this book, but but the seed was planted. And then I had a reading, and Anne Van Ordstel, who wrote my foreword for the book in November, I think it was, of 2018. And she said, you're going to write a book. And he says it's going to be called Belief or Believe or Beyond Belief. And he wants it by his first anniversary, which was 2 months later. And I thought, and I actually said to her, I said, well, there is free will, you know, because I knew I was not going to be able to write this book in that amount of time. In fact, it took quite some time. I was hoping in 2019, but it didn't happen. What happened is I ended up on a Soul Fest conference somehow. It called Celebrate Your Life, and somehow I attended this free festival, and I met my publisher. She was speaking, As You Wish Publishing, and I thought, and I reached out to her, and this was early 2000, well, this year, 2020, and then COVID happened, and I went to work. So a little later than Lee wanted, but I got it done. But I know everybody has a lot of signs and everything, but I wanted to share a few that really, I mean, we started seeing signs, pretty much right away, a couple weeks, and the communication with Lee started, probably a few weeks after he passed. I started hearing, I was in his house and packing, we're looking through things, I'm hearing, I'm okay, and at first you think, I'm making this up, and it just kept coming, the communications, I'm having the time of my life. And I thought, that was really odd, but so I was having the communications, and then the signs started coming. We started seeing a lot of 34s, which was his football number when he was a little boy. We're finding dimes and seeing the butterflies, and they were all great. But when I went away in June 2018, and with my sister, and while I was away, my husband was sitting outside, and he heard something in the garage, and he went to investigate, and he felt this cold whoosh go past him, and he said, "Lee, is that you?" And now he's a very left brain engineering type guy, so for him, that was a huge piece. And then he noticed this little something up in the rafters, something red, and when he climbed up, he brought it down, and it was a Hot Wheels car, and he turned it over, and it was made the year of Lee's birth, 1987. So when I came home, he told me about it. What he didn't know is that I had a reading. I think it might have been Jamie Clark, actually, that's coming on. It was online, and he said that Lee was playing Hot Wheels with kids on the other side. Now, he had and I never shared that with my husband. So there was that, but it got even better. After that, I went for my first Reiki healing, and Lee came in, and she had a lot of things to say, one of which was, now I'm seeing a 1 or a 2 or a 12. It made no sense. Well, he passed in January. Made no sense, but she said, take it with you, which I did. The next day, I decided, I'm going to get that little car and put it by his picture. When I picked it up, I have it right here, car 12. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know. So, and then I had another medium at another time saying she saw a little race car number 12 or something. So that was, these are huge. You can't make these things up. And so then I started to see, I've been seeing hawks. I started to see a lot of hawks. And I knew that he was sending these hawks, and I love them. In fact, last year I visited the Grand Canyon for the first time. And first of all, I said, I looked out and it was so beautiful. And I said, when I cross, I'm coming back and flying over the Grand Canyon, just like a hawk. And then I asked Lee, I said, please send me a hawk feather. And I heard, pay attention. Well, the very next day, I never found the hawk feather, but they don't always come the way you want it. The very next day, I walk into a jewelry store, and I'm wearing them tonight. I had these feather earrings. So I got my hawk feathers. So I know the signs are just incredible. I could go on and on about it. I had my little 9-month-old nephew was visiting with his mom, and he was sitting on my lap one night, and he started wildly looking around and arching his back, and like he was following something. And his mom said, I've never seen him do that. And then I was like, Lee, are you messing with Tommy? So it was beautiful to see that this little, I say, babies can see spirit a lot easier than we can. And a couple other really great signs that I had. I Sonia, I was at the Well, We Don't Die conference, and I did a meditation or a sitting in the power, and I often see oranges and purples, but I was sitting there and I saw a face emerge through the purple and orange colors, and I realized it was Lee's face, and I wanted to open my eyes and look, but I knew I couldn't, or he'd be gone. And soon after that experience, I found, well, I was on Sonia Rinaldi. Maybe some of you know, she's a Brazilian researcher that does voice and images. And I found Lee was one of her unknowns, and it just took my breath away. I knew it was him, and when she looked at it, she verified with his photos that he was about 6 or 7, I think, or 8, and she verified that yes, indeed, it was him. And she says, well, who is the dog behind him? I hadn't seen a dog, and when I looked, there was Buddy right behind his image. It's just been an incredible journey, unreal, unbelievable, that I just, remarkable. So the other interesting thing was how my dog, I have a little miniature schnauzer that we just got in January that I believe Lee brought to us. I was meditating one day and I saw this little schnauzer pop in my mind's eye. And I thought, well, that's interesting. I've never known a dog or had a dog like this. And I came out and I told my husband, and he said, well, he goes, that's interesting, because the day before he had been researching dogs and he really was drawn to the miniature schnauzer. Well, then I started looking. I thought, well, I was looking online. We weren't really planning on getting a dog, but he said, well, I was thinking maybe I'd surprise you for your birthday in June. And so I started looking on the internet, and I noticed there was a local breeder. And so I was looking at all these cute little puppy faces, and I kept getting drawn to one certain little face. And after about the 3rd time, I realized that that dog was available on the day that Lee passed. So the dog is now with us. I know that Lee brought him to us, and he's brought us so much joy and happiness and love, and he's the best puppy. So I'm really blessed. So the only thing I want to leave, the most striking thing, and I think the thing that helped me the most to focus on really healing was something that Joe McQuillan said. I heard him speak, and he said that he wrote my son, what is it, Elizabeth? About his son Christopher, my search for Christopher on the other side. He said one time that he didn't want to think of his son in a place where there was bliss, that he was so happy. Look at him and see him sad and broken. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's true. I will do everything I can to heal. I don't want Lee to watch me be sad and broken, and so I chose to do the work. I think we all are doing the work. So I don't know.
That's beautiful. And I just would like to break in here and say, first of all, that everybody's asking about Buddy. People are wondering, obviously. Could you just tell a little bit about Buddy after what happened?
As far as
he passed away a couple days later, right?
Yes.
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 Okay.
We believe that.
Are wondering. Go ahead.
Some people are wondering.
Well, they didn't know what happened just from your presentation, so I just.
Yes. He succumbed to the carbon monoxide as well, but the fact that he stayed alive for 2 days, I knew he watched over me. But Yeah.
Well, you know, and our dogs are just amazing. All of our companions, if they're cats, dogs, maybe birds as well. We have a bird as well. But hearing you talk about this dog that was sent to you as well is pretty incredible.
Yes.
We had a puppy that was sent to us the day that Morgan left for Tibet. And his name is Captain, because initially we were going to call him Toto because my girls were wanting to call him Toto from The Wizard of Oz. And we hadn't decided. And then when Morgan passed, his nickname on the football team here was Captain. And so we decided to call this little dog Captain. But then when he turned 9 years old, so a long time down the road, we were wanting to have puppies by Captain because we knew that he was getting old. And my daughter was in London at the time, and she was looking on the internet to find puppies the same breed as he is, and found some here in the valley in Arizona. And it turns out that this little tiny 15-week-old puppy, her mom's name was Chelsea. And so that was very significant to us because obviously my daughter Chelsea had passed when she was 2 days old. I don't know who calls a dog Chelsea. That doesn't sound like a really doggy name, but we decided that she had to be Captain's mate. And we have these incredible puppies now that were had by the two of them. And so anyway, our fur babies are just so important in our healing. It's just incredible how they're able to help us heal. And I know that Irene feels the same way about Linus, as well as all of you probably have similar experiences. But that was beautiful to hear about Buddy. And let's see. Also, Irene is saying, Roseanne speaks about her husband's guilt for not checking Lee's furnace. Has he made peace with this? Is he a believer now? Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, I think he still struggles with that guilt. I think he knows intellectually that, yeah, I mean, he was a grown man. Lee should have, he was responsible for himself, but he is a believer. He is a believer. He's a peripheral, I can't say it, believer, so he likes to hear about it, but he hasn't really dove in himself, but he definitely has changed his viewpoint.
That's wonderful. Carol Hennessy is saying that her African Gray speaks in her son's voice, which is really significant to me because my husband always had an African Gray. They live forever. While he was growing up when he lived in Africa, and he wanted to have one here as well, but they are one-person animals. I think that they don't like having anyone else, but that's beautiful because they're the smartest bird, I believe. I think that there aren't any that are smarter than the African Gray, and that's just beautiful that he speaks in your son's voice, Carol.
That's very cool.
Oh my gosh. So Jody is saying, I have a little dog that needed a home right after Kellen passed. Her name is Bambi, which is beautiful. She is so sweet. And then Doris is saying, first of all, she wanted to know about Buddy, but she's telling you that you need to connect with her. So Doris is our affiliate leader from Atlanta. So I'm sure that would be wonderful. And let's see. Well, I would like to know. So I think that it must be wonderful to be able to talk about our kids and to be able to have them help in writing a book, especially. Did you feel closer to Lee while you were writing this book? And did you feel like he was helping you to do so?
Absolutely. I didn't mention that because I had a lot of communications and a lot of downloads in the night where I would be writing something down and I couldn't remember until I looked at it in the morning. And yeah, I really feel like he definitely was there and strongly communicating with me the entire time. And it's interesting because after I completed the book, I feel that right now that he's very subtle, that he's kind of not been quite as communicative with me right now. And that's okay, because I know he knows that I'm okay. Maybe he needed a break to go on vacation. No,
Well, maybe he just was waiting for it to be published, and now that it's published,
I think so. He goes,
his job is over.
Yeah, because I got things to do. So.
Oh, that's wonderful. They have a lot to do. They don't actually, they don't necessarily spend a lot of time talking to us all the time.
Right.
So tell me about your other kids. How are the siblings doing? Are they doing well, or how is the situation in terms of their brother? Are they healing?
Well, the two older ones have families, so they're very busy. And their life is full, and they're doing well. My son Jay, he and Lee were very close. I think he says he's okay, but I think he still is struggling. He has a lot of signs, and he believes, but that. He said we were supposed to grow old together and share everything, and I said you still do, you still can, talk to him. And so, yeah. And then my youngest daughter, she's doing very well, and she was after Lee, and she was 10-7, so another big baby came along. So.
Well, and obviously, the fact that they have their mom talking about this and writing a book about this, it must be very helpful to them. Is that not the case? I mean, just reading what you've written about Lee.
I hope so. I do. Not all of them have read it.
Oh,
so I know they said. Well, Anna, my youngest, read it, and I think they're reading it slowly. Or his one brother Jay said, "I'll read it, but not yet." And I said, "Okay, when you're ready, I'll read it."
well, I must say that I've done things like presentations for IONS, and my kids have a very hard time being able to watch them because it just makes them relive everything that went on. And so I think it's normal for siblings to have a hard time with that, because they'd like to be able to move forward and not necessarily be stuck at that point. But what you've written is so healing, so I'm sure that it'll be helpful to them. Babette is saying, do you hear Lee's actual voice or just thoughts?
Thoughts. I wish I did hear his voice, but no, it's just those thoughts.
Oh, that's already really wonderful to be able to hear those thoughts. And I think that the most important thing is understanding that when we do hear those thoughts, that they're coming from our kids, and not misinterpret them as being our thoughts that were,
right.
Let's see, Carol is asking, when is the book being released? So it's already been released, is that correct?
Yes, it was released last week. So
that's wonderful. And let's see, Nancy is saying, do you feel like people get tired of hearing about your son's signs, etc.? Think we should move on, and we don't have to, let's see, and we don't want to communicate in another way and have, let's see, with us after. So I guess what Nancy is saying is, do you find that people don't necessarily want to hear about the signs and are kind of difficult to have listened to the things that you've been through?
I think people like to hear about the signs. I mean, I haven't had anybody really have a problem with it. I mean, I keep it close, well, until I wrote a book, but I don't think they have a problem. I mean, I don't.
Well, we have someone saying here, and it's named iPhone, so I think you need to name your iPhone so I can know who you are. But this person is saying, I deal with the standoffish siblings. They are all doing what they need to do to get through it. And I know that that is hard for siblings to be able to move forward and heal. I think that for me, For my two daughters, they have had a hard time letting people around them know about their brother who has passed.
Yeah.
And both of them have moved other places. One has moved back now, but one of them was in London, and she didn't want anyone to know at her place of work that her brother had passed, because she didn't want to be she didn't want people to pity her or to think that she was less than they were because of the fact that her brother had passed. And it's interesting because then my other daughter deals with it in a very different way. And she feels that it's important to let everybody know in her friend circle that this is the case. So I think that that siblings deal with it in different ways.
Yeah.
And it's all fine. Let's see.
Yeah.
Carol is saying, when people question signs, I show them videos, then they believe. I would love to know what videos you show them. There are some really good videos out there. Could you talk about your experiences with starting your HPH group? And I know that you have a big group in New York, so it would be wonderful for people to hear about how that was to start that up.
Well, I started it slowly. Just a few moms in my house. That was summer of 2019, while I was looking for a place to hold meetings. And I found a church, like a Unity type church, and then I announced it in October of 2019 and had my first meeting in November, and I had 23 people walk through the door. I was stunned. I was a little overwhelmed. Every time the door opened, I kept thinking, please no more, please no more. But and I will say that the first meeting kind of tanked. Everybody kind of went down, and it was I needed a day to recover. And I thought, okay, I questioned what went wrong. And I said, people need to leave this meeting feeling better than they walked in, not the other way around. So I started, the next few went very well, and people were very upbeat. I had a medium come in, and she gave everyone messages, which was beautiful. I had a spirit artist come in, and she did a few paintings for different people that we did by lottery. And so things were starting to look up and go very well until we got shut down in March. And my group, unfortunately, is not very receptive to Zoom. So it's been a little difficult. I try to touch base with them individually, call or a text or something, but hopefully
Well, some of them are here tonight, which is nice. They've let me know in the chat box, which is really good. And I guess, it's interesting to me that that you were able to get 23 people at your first meeting. Here in Phoenix, the first meeting, I think we had 23 exactly as well.
Oh, wow.
And it was a very big meeting, but I was very fortunate because Mark Ireland was speaking. So that made it very interesting to the people who were there. It was uplifting, and we didn't have any trouble that way. But it is good to be able to have a good speaker. I was going to ask you about the spirit artist, though. Could you tell me a little bit more about what that spirit artist does?
She's a medium and a healer, and she just sees colors, and she was painting and speaking to individuals and what was coming into her, what she was feeling and seeing and sensing around. So it was beautiful. I didn't think I have a piece of artwork that she did for me, and she explains what the colors and mean, and as she's talking to your child or your loved one in spirit, and it was very interesting.
That sounds wonderful. There are some artists that also draw our kids when they're speaking to you, which is really amazing. And I thought that might have it might have been something that was going on with her as well. Nancy is saying, I have been getting hawk feathers, asked for a cardinal feather and found it today. I go on treasure hunts in the graveyard daily. Sometimes I believe he shows off and I love it. I appreciate your sharing. This spiritual approach is so wonderful and I am much better because of this. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So the book itself is a wonderful book because of the fact that it does go into the signs that you've been getting from Lee. Of course, the name Believe is spelled differently than the regular Believe because it's with 2 E's for Lee, which is wonderful. Kat Allen, I guess that she's in your group, said, I thought the first meeting was good.
Sorry, Kat.
So, and she's saying that she misses the group. It would be wonderful to have Kat be able to speak. Kat, would you be willing to speak and tell a little bit about the group? Would that be something that you would be okay with? I don't know if you even have your video on right now. Let's see. Let's see. I'm not sure if I see you here. Anyway.
Kat has agreed to be an affiliate leader in Binghamton.
Oh,
She's going
wonderful.
to be joining me.
Congratulations, Kat. So now you have to speak because we need to hear about you.
Yes.
So where are you? You jumped off as soon as you posted that. Irene, do you see Kat or do you not see her on here?
I'm looking. I don't see her.
That's interesting. Darn it. Okay, I know that she's probably here. Let me just check and see. So hard to find people on here though. Okay, I see Kat. I'm asking you to unmute. There we go. So would you like to say something? Now you can unmute. Or not. Let's see. This is funny because I don't see your.
Unmute. There we go. No.
Oh, there you are.
I'm here.
Hi, Kat.
Hi.
Welcome. And I'm so excited to hear that you're going to be an affiliate leader. So,
Hi. Thank you.
So I'm going to pin you so that people can see you if I can do that. There we go.
Hello.
Hello. Welcome.
Hi.
So we would love to hear more about you. So tell us a little bit about your grief journey. That would be wonderful.
Last year on October 20th, our 2 children were killed in a car accident, Trinity and Zachary. And right away, Zach and I had a talk before, I don't even want to go to it's a long story. We had a talk weeks before he died that, he was asking me what happens to our bodies. He's 7, and he's asking me what happens to our bodies when we die. And I'm thinking, where is this coming from? And so we talked about that, and we talked about, spirits and what souls were. And it kind of all came together that night when we were at the hospital. And I was like, okay, he's here somewhere. I was even like looking around in the room, like, he's here with us. I know he's here with us. And his sister, Trinity, she was in the hospital for 5 more days after that. She had a head injury so bad that, her brain suffered, that she was in a coma. And then they pronounced her 3 days later, and we donated her organs that Friday. So right away, we're like connected with all the grief groups and everything online, and nothing really resonated until my daughter, Heather, pointed me to the meeting that Roseanne was going to run. And I was like, that fits exactly what I'm feeling. That fits exactly the things that I believe, because I believe that they're still here in spirit and that we can communicate with them. And my husband was all on board with it too. And he was a Christian before this, but it was changing for him when they passed. He wanted to communicate with them. He wanted the signs. He wanted you know, all of that. So when we went to our first meeting, it was the one that Roseanne said tanked. I didn't think it did. I loved it. I was ready to come back sooner.
Oh, Kat, I am just so, I admire you so much. You're beautiful.
Thank
You're
you.
so bubbly. And what an
Thank
incredible
you.
thing to have to go through. But
Yeah.
your kids must be so incredibly proud of you. And I am just, well, this has made me so emotional. I'm so glad that you were able to understand that your kids are right here. To have
Yeah.
that experience with your son beforehand is also
Mhm.
amazing, because it showed you that he already knew. And I think
Yeah.
that that's one of the things that is so important to us, to understand that this is something that was going to happen, maybe not right now. Maybe it was going to happen a little bit later. It depended on the exit point, but to
Mhm.
know that he already knew, so
Yeah.
it's okay. And
Yeah.
oh, you're just so beautiful. I'm so glad that you're going to
Thank
be
you.
with Roseanne and leading the group. And I'm glad you didn't
I
get
am
tanked. That's exciting. So
Yeah.
let's see, I want to just let you know, let's see, Jody is saying, I have been dealing with Navy casualty the past 2 days regarding my son Callan's life insurance. It's been really difficult. Found 2 feathers by my front door, huge dragonfly flying around the front yard and backyard. You know, these signs that we have from our kids are so incredibly important. A ghostess, which must be the last name, is saying, Kat, my heart goes out to you. Thank you for being so brave, which is
Thank
true.
you.
It's just so amazing. And I feel so grateful whenever I'm able to meet other people along the journey who prove to me that our glass is half full and not half empty, which is
Yeah.
something that we all have to remember, that, you know, everybody's going through something that is difficult on this journey, but we're all doing it as best we can. And if we can help others along the way, and for you to offer to help other parents and to reach a hand back and to pull them forward is just amazing. So Sajini is saying you can be a Christian and believe in the afterlife, in the
Yep.
transfiguration, which is true.
Oh, yeah.
So your son, or you, excuse me, your husband is on board now. He feels
Yeah.
the same way that you do.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He listens to like Tom Zuba and you know, like talking about shining light parents and being radiant and everything. And that's just how our kids were. So I mean, just knowing that the love that they gave us every single day, it, you know, it propels us forward to wanting to be like them. I mean, they're an inspiration to us, that they want us to be happy. We know that they would. So,
That's
yeah.
beautiful. And yeah, Tom Zupa is a great person to listen to, especially for a man. I think that is easier. And we
Yeah.
feel very fortunate that he's also presented to our group. So thank you for coming on and speaking about this. And
Mhm.
I'm really excited that you and Roseanne are going to be leading this group. You're going to
Me
have
too.
an amazing group.
Yes, I'm very fortunate. I'm so happy to have you, Kat.
Thank you so
And-
much.
Oh, thanks for speaking too. I truly appreciate it. And it's wonderful to meet you by Zoom. This is
Yes,
exciting.
nice to meet you.
And I know that I'll be speaking to you a lot in the future, which is wonderful. And so I'm looking here to see if we have any other questions right now for Roseanne. Does anybody have any questions about her book or about her experiences? If you do, just let me know. And if not, that's completely fine. I want to let you know that Roseanne was talking about Jamie earlier in her presentation, and talking about Matchbox cars, which was really interesting. Tomorrow night, we're going to have Jamie doing validations. And so if you all would like to be on there with us, we would love to have you. We're really excited about that. We have 5 speakers next week as well. We have a lot of wonderful speakers who are coming up. So we're very excited about that. Roseanne, do you have any closing words that you'd like to give to us before we leave?
I just feel that, I'm so thankful for all the support and the love that I feel here. I know that we all are in this together, along with our kids are all around us, and I just got tingles on my head, so that's Lee's acknowledging sign to me. I was so determined to heal and to make him proud of me, and I think I've accomplished that. And I know we all have our own journeys, but we're all shining light parents here. I just thank you for listening.
Thank you, Roseanne. We are all in this together, and we are leading each other home. And I'll tell you, I just feel so grateful that we do have these meetings, that we're able to get together and talk to each other. And this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for presenting to us. And again, we always allow everybody to unmute and to say good night, and to be able to thank you for this wonderful presentation that you had. And again, please come back tomorrow night for Jamie Clark. And I'll let you know tomorrow night what we have next week. Or you can see it on our calendar. That's also possible. But anyway, thank you all, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Roseanne.
Roseanne.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Rosanne and Elizabeth.
Goodbye.